welcome to today's episode of the Group X podcast. I'm your host, Tony Zonato, and if you haven't yet done so, please jump on over to the website and sign up. It's 100% free. Today, I'll be talking to Nathan Jones, ex-trainer and presenter for Les Mills Asia Pacific and owner of NJ Fitness in Malvern Victoria. Leadership, the ability of an individual or group of individuals to influence and guide followers or other members of an organisation. We can all take something away from this chat, so grab your favourite beverage, sit back and enjoy the show. Nathan, thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time with me tonight, mate. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Hey, we'll start right from the beginning, and if you can, share with us how you got into the fitness industry. Where did it all begin for you?
2002, labouring, and didn't enjoy that it didn't have enough purpose for me. So I thought to myself, what do I like? I liked training and I liked people. And a friend of mine was a personal trainer at Les Mills Dunedin, and I remember going in there to potentially train, to sign up to train. And I was watching him as a gym instructor back then, work the floor and talk to people and train, and I thought that looks like a good role. So I boldly sort of stepped out of my labouring job without even knowing I could get into Les Mills, and just pursued it, and went in there with no qualifications back then. I actually had to do them sort of bridging at the same time while I was learning on the floor. You could do that back in 2003. And just wanted to get into the fitness industry. And the beautiful thing was I was on $9 an hour when I started on the gym floor. So it was no money, but heaps and heaps of passion behind it. So that's what got me started from labouring to I want to be in the fitness industry now. 19 years ago.
Wow, $9 an hour.
$9 an hour. I freaked out, but I wanted the job so much that I just didn't question it. So what I'd have to do, Tony, is I'd do double shifts. So I'd do open till about 2, then I'd do 2:30 to close, and I'd still only make a couple of $100 a week.
Wow.
But had to be done.
That's dedication. That's for sure. That is realizing you had a passion and there was something there you wanted to go on and pursue. And well done.
And that was it's funny too, because you've seen where I've ended up this many years down the track. But back then, all I wanted to be was a gym instructor, which really entailed clean equipment, walk around the floor and spot people. And maybe do a little bit of parts of their workout with them. And I wasn't thinking personal training, and I didn't even know about group fitness back then.
Wow.
So it's funny where things begin in comparison to where they end up.
To where they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So and that was Les Mills?
Les Mills Dunedin.
Yep.
So where a lot of great instructors have come out of. Emma Bowery, Susan Renata, Stephen Renata, Ollie Futter, Tracy Minnick, more currently Ben Main. A lot of the best instructors, funnily enough, come out of the ones that have had some of the biggest impact over the decades start at Les Mills Dunedin, and it just seems to churn, actually Aaron Moore as well, seems to churn out a lot of great future presenters, international presenters.
You've mentioned a couple of names there. I'm going to have to write down after and reach out to these people to get these guys on for a chat.
Big names.
As well.
Big names.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Wow. So what brought you over to Australia? When did you come over to Aussie?
So 2 years in Dunedin, then moved to Auckland to work closer in the group fitness space. I was coming through the ranks in body combat and body attack. They wanted me out there to be a future presenter and DVD presenter. Which I was fortunate enough to do. Then I started thinking after 5 years in Auckland, yes, this is good, but I'd like to be doing things on a bigger scale. A lot of people leave New Zealand for that, Tony, and also look at the possibility of doing business in the fitness industry. So I moved there for the where I was fortunate enough to look after your partner. I moved there to be was called master trainer back then, to be the head program coach for Body Attack. And Tony, I could have gone anywhere. So I was looking at Sydney, I was looking at Melbourne. I'd been to Sydney before, didn't think that was me. When I moved to Melbourne, I went there blank, knew no one, never been there before, 2 bags of clothes, $1,700.
Wow. That was it.
That's it. Didn't know one person. Now, I was put up by a couple that were already in Les Mills. They put me up and then gave me a personal training job at their studio, so I had day-to-day work.
Yeah.
As you know, the Les Mills stuff's very weekend-based.
Yeah.
Modules, presenting, etc., upskilling. So I got that PT through the week, and then I could go and travel and do my Les Mills stuff. But it was bold. So bold the right word? It was brave. Let's go brave, Tone.
I was going to say ballsy.
Ballsy, better word.
Definitely.
It's ballsy, but I loved Les Mills. And I had this passion to think, I've just finished 5 years in Auckland at the mothership. I'm going to go over there and pioneer it across the country. And it just, being a Kiwi, being so close to the product, it's a great opportunity.
So what year was that you came out here?
May 6, 2009.
Wow. Okay.
And then I left 2 weeks ago. I left 2 weeks ago, so May 24th, 2022. So 13 years. And 9.5, 10 was head program coach for Body Attack.
How old were you at that stage doing that?
I was 31.
That's still a big thing for a 31-year-old to do.
It is. I mean, yeah.
To leave what you know and leave that I'll say your comfort zone of everything at home to jump to another country and start all over again.
And I was comfortable, Tone. I mean, Rach would know this, and so a lot of the other presenters, Sharon, that you've done previous podcasts with or interviews with, that working at Les Mills is a lot of people. Les Mills Auckland is a lot of people's ultimate dream, and I had 6 classes there, and also to be on those DVDs as they were back there, the online presentations, is every instructor's dream, and I was doing them 2 or 3 a year. So I really had a really good thing going on. But I think one thing I've always ensured, Tone, is that I listen to my heart over sort of what's happening outside, and I knew that it was time for me to make a change.
Yep.
Regardless of the comfort.
Yeah.
Which we don't mind sometimes.
Yeah, mate, I totally respect that because it is a big thing to do. So when you got here, what you were working? You started working at your friend's gym?
Yeah, I was a person. So I've always been a personal trainer since.
Yep.
The story we went back to where I was a gym instructor that lasted 1 year, but 2004 I became a PT. So coinciding with being a fitness presenter for Les Mills and opening up my studio, I've always been a personal trainer, Tone. So that's always been my day to day. Don't do as much of it now, and being back in New Zealand, I haven't started it again. I'm not sure if I will, but I was personal training during the day, and that just allowed me to have enough income because the head trainer, master trainer role for Body Attack was not a high paying one, so I just needed that supplementary income. So I've always PT'd as well.
Yeah. So on your programs how many programs are you trained in?
Body Attack, Body Combat, Body Pump, Grit. So Body Attack from real early on, and worked closely with Lisa there. Body Combat from real early on too, from when Rachel and Dan started it, when they started in Auckland. Grit from when it started, Grit number 1. And Body Pump came on board, Tone, but I never really got into it. It was just Steve Renata advised that I should have it under my belt. A lot of people wanted me to go down that path, as Les Mills does. They tried. Sometimes they want you to sort of pursue something that fits what they might need in a program. But I just didn't enjoy it the same as the other 3.
This is the Group X podcast. So how long ago did you train in Attack? When was that?
It was funny. Back in about 2005, there's not as many modules in New Zealand as there is in Australia. So Lisa Osborne wanted me to be involved in body attack, and I hadn't even done my module. So back then, I was teaching classes before my module, which is very back to front. Doesn't happen in Australia.
Yep.
So I got flown to Sydney to do my module in '05 because there was no up and coming modules in New Zealand for the next few months, and it was getting to the point where you could shadow a couple of tracks, but to be teaching with Lisa Osborne herself and potentially getting close to doing workshops and stuff, you need the certification, right? So they flew me to Sydney.
No way.
Yeah.
So who did your training then? Who from Australia?
Matt Sadler. So Matt Sadler wasn't not many people know he was a good body attacker. He was before he retired. He was very much CX Works head program coach.
Yes.
Great combater, but he was a great body attacker as well. So he trained me with another girl called Vanessa.
No way.
In Sydney, and then I flew back to New Zealand and did the next 3.5, 4 years there. It was funny, Tone. I almost did a presentation before I did my module, and I did a DVD before my first workshop. So everything was quite accelerated. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. I did my RPM training before I did my Cert 3. So that was a bit back to front as well, because I was, there was a course that were offered. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. They're like, go and see, you're a participant and you love it. Go and see whether you think you'd want to do this. And so I did the RPM training, and then I think 2 weeks later I booked in to do my Cert 3 and Cert 4. And I was like, yeah, you know what? This is something.
Oh, did you do Cert 4 as well, did you?
Give it a shot. Yeah, so I was a PT for 12 years in Sydney.
Far, I didn't even know that.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so you and I started probably around the same time. I started in, I can't remember, it was 2003 or 2004.
Yeah, same as
Let's
me.
say 2004. Yeah. July 2004. I was working at Optus, working in telecommunications, and was going to the gym before work, after work, lunchtime, you name it. I was just in there because I got myself up to 150 kilos and thought, right, you fat bastard, you need to lose some weight. And I was training so much. And Shannon Cleary Shannon Cleary and Andrew Taylor were at the gym, and there was a whole lot of Les Mills presenters and trainers working at Fitness First North Sydney in Sydney. That was just seemed to be where they all were, and that was the gym that I was going to. And it was Shannon that turned around and said, "Oi, go and do this course."
Yeah, it's a good endorsement. It's a good
So
endorsement.
yeah, I was like, right, Shan, if you think that I could do, come on, okay, let's give this a shot. And yeah, it never looked back. So I jumped into PT at the same time as teaching RPM, and then a couple of years later did my pump training, and then 2012 is when I started with Les Mills.
Wow.
Down in Canberra.
Didn't know it. Well done.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because this week alone I've had about 5 or 6 people reach out and say, "Hey Tone, when are we going to get someone to interview you on this podcast? We want to know more about you."
Well, I'd love to know.
And I drip feed little bits and pieces,
I'd like to know that story too now, because I always seen you there supporting Rach, but I just seen this very supportive partner. I didn't put the two together at all. So we need to hear that story.
There is. It'll come out by the end of the year.
Good
right?
man.
I'm just going to try and find someone that I will gel with to go. Yeah,
pull it out of me.
I want you on here to ask the questions. Yeah. 5 hours later, people are going, "Oh, shut him up, would you?"
Oh, it sounds like a great story.
But no, I like hearing your story, because that's unique as well. It's not something you hear every day. They flew you over to Australia to do that training. Yeah. Then you went back, and then you got straight back into the role that you were doing over there anyway.
Yes. Yeah, I had a lot of that. It was good.
Was the training experience you had here? How can you elaborate on how different it might be compared to what the training is like in NZ? And can you compare it? Is it similar or not?
I think two-tone generations is a different as an aspect we'd have to look into. Like, my generation of when I was doing my modules between 2005 and 2010 versus doing a module now would be very different. So there's that aspect. When I went to Australia, it was bigger. The modules were bigger. It's funny to say this, but when I went from New Zealand to Australia, and then I went and did Southeast Asia, China, a few trips, one of the things I must admit, I felt like the people outside of New Zealand loved it more, funnily enough.
Yep.
When it was in our own backyard, we were so much about leading edge, be the best, lead by example. And almost, it was the Mike McSweeney era, so there's a little bit of ego there.
Yep.
Whereas when you come to Australia, it was all about product. It was all about Les Mills. It was all about culture. It was all about empowering and loving and doing versus trying to be seen as the best. So I enjoyed it from that aspect. And then when you go to Southeast Asia and China, they've got no ego. So they love every part of the woohoo or the power of body combat or the music of body pump. So to answer your question, the biggest difference really was obviously the countries means that things are going to be grander in Australia just purely by demographic, but in population. But there was just there was a big love for it in Australia, and it really stood out to me.
Yep. Cool. Let me ask you a question around presenting then. You alluded to the masterclass, the filming, DVDs, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. How was your first experience with that? Because I've chatted to a few guys here in Australia that have gone down that path, and I've obviously raced down that path as well, but everybody seems to have a little bit of a different journey and a different experience with that. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience on the first filming you did?
Sure. First presentation, like a few parts of the conversation here, I did a DVD before I did a workshop. So I was actually, one of the barriers I had to overcome was there was a few, and I won't say any names, there was a few jealous instructors, presenters that I had made it onto the DVD so quickly. So they were sitting in the back of the room, Tony. So you come running out onto this beautiful Les Mills Auckland stage, 150 people in front of me, nervous and just wanting to do a good job. And you've got these people at the back just standing there almost wanting you to not do a good job because they feel like they should be there over you. And I can speak openly about this because this was a part of our generation. So that was tough. You know what, Lisa Osborne, and the way that we used to do Body Attack back then, this is when we used to do full classes without cutting to do the athletic version versus the full version.
Yes.
Mate,
yes.
I mean, you've seen the program yourself, Tone. The biggest thing I remember of all my DVDs, and especially the first one, is how much fitness and intensity is involved in filming one of those masterclasses. You know, you've got a script you've got to get out. You've got multiple cameras, but and Lisa was just, she was so tough that she just wanted it to be a push, play and go. That we weren't going to do retakes, that we weren't going to miss things. So you're just going through these tracks at the highest level, full of nerves, which brings a bit more tension, brings a bit more nervous energy. So you're fatiguing a little bit more. And I remember doing track 8, doing jumping jacks, and I was starting to go dizzy. And I remember thinking in my head, okay, this is round 2. There's a whole nother round to go on a track 9. And, you know, obviously I got through it, but I just remember thinking, I just don't think I could be working any harder. And I was quite taken back by the level of fitness that's required to do them. And I did 13 of them across my career, Tone, and
holy crap,
that never really changed.
I didn't realise you'd done so many. That's huge.
Yeah, I did. I was lucky. I did quite a few. I did quite a few from Australia too. So, like, got flown back to New Zealand. So I was very fortunate. But I worked for every single one I did. I always put in the work prior.
Now, I'm gonna touch on this, and you know, we can edit it out if so be it.
Sure.
Jealousy was those people at the back of the room. 100% jealous of the fact that you were given an opportunity that you deserved. Yep. There's a problem that I have with our industry, and it's something that we'll touch on towards the end of this conversation. But there's a lot of that goes on that I think is downright rude and just not called for in our industry at all. You know, there's people get an opportunity to do something. We should be standing there next to them as a colleague in our industry and rooting for them, you know, supporting them and actually turning around and going, you know what, yeah, well done.
Agreed.
Go for it. Whether personally they agree or not, it's the adult thing, maybe that's not the right word to use, but I'll use it anyway, stuff it. The adult thing to do is to support your fellow colleagues in whatever they're doing. And that's one thing that I will always do is no matter what, put everybody up on that pedestal when they deserve to be there.
Good.
And go, you know what? Well done. Kudos to you for actually going, I might have been overlooked for something, but I look back and then go, well, you know what? That person actually deserved to be doing what they're doing. So
100%.
well done.
100%.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, but it's we might touch on it a little bit later.
I'm more than happy to speak openly and honestly about that.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, with the lead up to filming, so run me through that. What is that experience like? So you, as give me an example from when you flew back in from Australia. Were you given the music and the release stuff prior to actually leaving here, or do you just get it on your first walk back into the gym? Here it is. Get this into your ears and listen, and we're going to be presenting in 7 days' time.
Yeah, no, Lisa was clever. She'd try and get the music and a skeleton of choreography to you, and even sometimes the tracks you might be presenting. The thing with Lisa though is she's so dynamic and so creative that very often the program, the track choreography would change on you by the time you got there. But you'd have the rounds and the essence and the overall sort of base of the track. So she'd give that to us early, which was good. Mate, Body Attack stood alone, and each program director would vouch for this. She would work you very hard. So prior to her CrossFit days, we would do a lot of extra training. So let's just park the intense amount of classes we used to do. We would do a body pump class before the Body Attack class. We would go for a run in the morning. We would do a workout in the gym. And I was up for it. I thrived it. I seen it as a challenge, and I was very close to Lisa, and I like to do it. But it used to really hurt presenters. So you've got these people, Tone, that would come in from overseas and just not used to the speed of these big classes in Auckland. So we're practicing all through the week, but then we're doing these extra trainings, and it would just knock them round. And Lisa would just... She was single-minded around go hard, keep up, and you just have to get it done. And we would do in 7 days, 15, 16 classes, right up to the day before we presented, Tone. So you're training hard till Sunday, and then you present Monday. Now that changed a bit over the 8 years I was presenting. It got a little bit less at the end. But those hardcore days, it would break presenters, and then they'd just be expected to perform. Now, the adult, is the word used, adult, mature coach in me says more rest, less volume, let them be better prepared. The athlete and the hungry, driven personality in me, I loved it. I thrived upon it, but it was it's a hard experience filming, because you've got to perform well, but the work that's built up through the culture of it was tough.
So it's a different experience than teaching to your normal class at your normal club on a Monday night or Tuesday morning or whatever it was.
Totally different world. And the thing is too, and I was okay. What I really used to feel for presenters is very rarely could they bring their natural Monday night essence to the DVD because they're being told what to say. And Lisa would ride you like we still talk. We're still very close. So I wouldn't mind if she heard this. She would she would drill you. Like she would cut you down if it wasn't going in the right direction. She would tell you your shit if you're shit, and it wasn't and that's just how you had to deal with it. And I mean, it used to rub me up the wrong way a lot, but 13 DVDs later, she's been the strongest mentor in the fitness industry I've ever had.
Oh, look, I hope she listens to this one day. I really do.
Yeah.
I'd love to try and get her on here for a chat as well. So that's something I'll try and take on board.
If there's one person that I think you'd want to try and get, if there's one person in Les Mills that I would highly recommend for you to try and get, and is Lisa Osborne. That lady is special in so many ways.
I'll say then, challenge accepted. Anyone that's out there listening to this, let's see if Tone can do it.
Yep, it's a
challenge.
big challenge.
By the end of 2022,
so
that's my challenge.
It's your video, Tony.
Try and get
it's your one, and Lisa Osborne.
Yep.
By the end of 2022.
Yeah,
6 months and counting.
I don't usually accept challenges like that, but you know what? I'm on for that. That's you're right. 6 months, I can do this.
Good man.
My own. Getting myself interviewed and then me actually interviewing
the one and only.
Lisa. Yeah, no, I can do that. This is the Group X podcast. So we went through your training module here was done with Matt Sadler. Yeah. Then you went back. You got all that kind of stuff. You've said you're on 13 different masterclass filming.
Yep, 13 DVDs
that you've done. Yep. The position of head program coach here in Australia. Let's chat about that for a second. How did that opportunity come up for you, and how was that as an experience?
You know what, I'm going to say this. Funnily enough, a character on Facebook put a big post about me, how he thought it happened, and it was rude, it was obnoxious, it was incorrect, and it was public. So I'm going to tell the true story, Tone.
Sure.
The true story is Kylie Gates was the training manager of Les Mills Asia Pacific. Her and Lisa were good friends. She mentioned to Lisa, I would like a new head program coach. The instructor that was in the current role, and I won't say his name, he knows he is, was deemed to be underperforming. Their words, not mine. Didn't even know that person at the time, and they wanted someone stronger. And when Kylie asked Lisa, Tone, she was expecting Lisa to say someone within Australia. Funnily enough, though, 2 weeks before that, I told Lisa that I was looking for more opportunity. Didn't know where or what. Lisa turned around to Kylie Gates and goes, you should get Nathan Jones from Auckland. Now, I was the first head program coach that was sourced from outside of Australia.
Yes.
I had to fund myself to get over there. There was no relocation costs, nothing like that. I got into the role because Kylie Gates didn't feel the current head program coach was the right fit. I was strongly endorsed by Lisa Osborne, and I had phone calls. Then I got flown over for Filex. They were really happy with how I presented Filex, and then I flew over to take on the role.
Awesome.
So it wasn't that's the way I got it. And Tone, it was tough too, because you gotta, even though I was coming from New Zealand, I'd been on DVDs, you still gotta prove yourself. You're not an Australian.
Yeah.
And you've come from the outside in. There's a lot of work to get that recognition, get that trust, and get that respect.
Yep. Mate, I'll just say this right now: the haters are always going to hate, no matter what.
Yeah.
There's going to be keyboard warriors out there in this world that will always have a go. I've had people with this podcast, and from day one, I've had people turn around and bag it out and badmouth it, and sometimes it's gotten me down, and other times I just sort of turn around and give them the bird,
and that's right.
the metaphorical bird, and go, you know what? If you don't like it, don't bloody listen.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's it's that whole, I'm strong enough to stand up and ugly enough to stand up for myself these days, and go, you know what? Cool. I know what I'm doing, and I'm having fun doing it. And I think, from what you were just saying, then you got it on your own merit. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter what, people are always going to think otherwise and say otherwise, and
there's always
going to be many.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, there's different stories no matter what. People are always going to make up their own bloody thing. But I like hearing that because it's genuine. Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you and well done.
Thank you.
Well done for that as well. How the role of head program coach? Can you explain that role just so I can get listeners to get a I suppose, an understanding on what that entails. What does I've sort of broached on it in some other interviews with some other guests, but from your side of things, how was that role for you, and what did it entail?
Tone, it's an important role. It's a really important leadership role. You're responsible for moving the program forward in Australia. And where those layers come from is you've got to have good trainers, because good trainers will then go into the clubs and deliver good modules, which will then produce good instructors who will then go into the clubs and teach good classes to the members. So I looked at it as good old school Kylie Gates words role model. The head program coach should be that epiphany of what the program is: athleticism, dynamic, sports inspired, coach as well, an elite athlete, leads from the front, will do the work, doesn't forget the small stuff. But then but that's presenting. The head program coach has really got to develop his team. Is Rachel doing great modules in Canberra? What areas does Steve need to develop on in Sydney? Stevie Wolf down in Adelaide, is he not being forgotten? We've got Luke Etzler coming up through the ranks in Brisbane. Do we have the right balance for male and females across the board? Is there harmony in the trainers so when they present together, there's no animosity, they're vibing? And Lisa Osborne told me after 5 years that we were the number one body attack team in the world, and I really, really prided myself on that. But that took so much of my everything to bring a team together, to understand personality types, to get synergy in certain areas, to constantly raise the bar, to travel constantly week in, weekend out, to make sure that each of the regions and the areas and the states were strong. And it's just, you've got to be good at so many layers, Tone. You've got to be able to teach a good class week to week in your gym.
Yep.
You've got to be able to make sure that module content's being delivered correctly. Then you've got to be the wow factor at a workshop. And then you've just got to be seen to believe and carry the program across the country from club level to trainer in line with where Lisa Osborne's trying to take the program.
Yep. That's not an easy task. I'll throw that out there straight away. And from listening to what you were just saying then, I think I've sort of alluded to this in one of the other chats that I've had with someone, that the role of a head program coach I very much see as similar to a group fitness manager. Yep. Yeah. They are different, but the traits that you need to have as a head program coach, and managing all of that and all of the different personalities and all of that skill set that comes with what you need to have as a head program coach, I believe is what you need to have as a group fitness or group X manager as well. Being in that club, and as you said, I would look at it and go, instead of the country, it's just for your club or clubs that you're managing and looking after. The skill sets need to be transferable. You need to be focusing on all that. And I think it's not a skill set that I don't believe it's something you're born with. It's something you learn. It's a skill you develop over time, and challenges that you deal with and how you respond to those challenges is the outcome of what you're doing.
Correct.
Yep.
Good call, Tone.
It's mate, I like you in that, because if for Lisa to turn around to you and say what she said, that the best team that they'd had being here in Australia.
Yeah, because there's a lot of body attack teams, France, Netherlands. And I mean, my team knew. Every single one of my team knew that I had a thirst for us to be great, to be the best in the world, like to be compared to other countries. That wasn't it. But my hunger, I wanted us to be the best. And for all the right reasons, though, not to not to look the best, not to present the best, but have depth. Like, be good at, like, we grew the program. Like, body attack was
Yeah.
huge when I was in charge of it.
Yep.
And that's because I wanted more people in the classes. I wanted big and small people. I wanted great presenters, but I wanted authentic presenters. And it was, I just, I loved it. It was hard, but that's what I come to Australia to do.
Yeah. Mate, look, to me, what you've just said then as well is the difference between a leader and a boss. Yep. What you're wanting was what you developed with the team, was virtually saying, hey, this is where we're going. Come with me. Let's go. All of you guys that are on the team are on the team for a reason. This is how we go. You're not one of those that sat back or a boss that sits back and goes, right, this is how you do it. Go and do it.
No.
Go. Go. So, no, hang on a second. No, you're in the trenches with them.
Yeah.
Guys, let's go. This is what we've got to do. This is the aim. This is what we're trying to achieve. And you succeeded in achieving that. You know, you can see. When the first time I really started paying attention to body attack, was when Rach was invited onto the team to present, and it was presenting in Sydney at a Philex. Now, I sat there with my phone and took so many bloody photos. I was so proud of her. It wasn't funny.
Amazing.
But it made me look at everybody up on that stage. The energy in that auditorium in Sydney for that Philex, and I can't even remember what year it was. I'm going to say it was probably 2011, 2012. Yeah, probably. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was just before I'd started with Les Mills. And it was, goosebumps. It's the only way I can describe it. The energy in that room with that many people all have the passion doing what they're doing and pumping in that way, and having it led from a group of experts up on stage was just absolutely
couldn't agree more, mate.
Awesome. Yeah. We need more of that. Not saying that it's not there now, it is still there, but we haven't seen those big events, those big Philex events for quite a few years. So I'm gagging to get some of that action back, and hopefully the Les Mills Live down in Melbourne in August of this year will show a bit of that action for the team that's currently around as well. So this is the Group X podcast. Yeah. Now, what was your favourite part of being a head program coach?
Good question. I haven't been asked that. You've got me.
I'll give you a couple of minutes. I was going to see if I could play some music, some background music.
It's a great question, because I want to be honest. Because
I've thrown
you have, and nothing has so far in this interview. So I like this. The answer I should say is I liked developing my team. And of course I did. It's a close second to seeing new trainers and presenters that work so hard to get on there and do their first track, and then get feedback, and then get better, and then become comfortable, was absolutely amazing. And that's what our job was.
Yep.
But I loved blowing up big events physically. I liked being on those auditoriums in Sydney, asking the DJs to turn the music up louder, looking right and left in my team at the beginning of a track 9, and say, we're going to absolutely rip the place apart. I like that. Was that personal and selfish? No. Is there a part of me that liked showmanship when it came to presenting at big events? Yes.
Yep.
But it's what you felt in the room that I like to create.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I appreciate that.
It's the truth.
That's as honest and as raw as we're going to get. I love that. But it goes to show you and your personality, though. Yep. And that's no one can ever take that away from you. You are that showman. You are that person that wants to bring your team to light and be present in the room at the moment and make it the best it possibly can be.
That's it.
And I'll be honest and say, if you're not doing that, well, you're really doing the job you're asked to do. My answer is no. Yeah. Straight up, no. If you can't bring it when it requires to be brought, get off the stage and let someone else have a go.
That's it. Because I mean,
and I know that's That's so, people would say, oh, Tony, you're up yourself when you say that. No. If you're going to be doing something, do it 100%.
100%.
Otherwise, don't bother doing it at all. And especially when at an event like that, when we're presenting in front of hundreds, if not thousands of instructors that want that energy, they live for it. You know, all of us as instructors that when we go to events, we want that energy. It's part of why we go. We want to walk away from that going, how good was that?
And my thing is too, which I prided myself on, I would rip up my classes during the week too. Like I wouldn't go presenter and then now I'm just teaching classes. A track 8 in combat and a track 9 in body attack in my home club was pumping. So that was my natural way of coaching, but those Filexes, I mean, you've seen them, Tone, they were just, I mean, you just don't get that kind of feeling much in life in general. I mean, you can go to a grand game and watch rugby, footy, etc., but when that whole room is moving together and the music's up and you're on stage leading it, it's a pretty unique life experience too.
I was chatting to Josh Farmer the other week, and I asked him around his experience with filming as well, and Josh was saying that, you know, Lisa had asked him, no, give me more, I need more. And it was, give me more, I need more. Give me more, I need more. Yeah. Got to given so much that he's like, man, I've got nothing more to give. And then on game day, on filming day, she virtually said to him, no, bring it back down a bit. You know, but she needed to take him there in order to bring him back. And I loved hearing that, but I also love what you said as well. It's like you're in the room, you're in the moment. Guys, we're not going to just sit here. We're going to here. Yeah, we're bringing it because we can. Yeah. It's the high athletic program. It's body attack, for Christ's sake. Why? That's right. No, hang on. We'll just do the low impact version today. Get out. Come on. This is the reason. The track 9, as you say, let's go. You know, let's smash it out and mate, love hearing that. Absolutely love it. It's great.
Awesome.
Hey, couple more questions. What are you doing now? So I know that you've set up your gym down in Melbourne. Give us a little bit more around that. What is that, and how did that come about for you?
I wasn't enjoying the movement of body attack anymore. You know, I was getting more into strength and conditioning, and the aerobic feel, side flicks, step touch, tap repeaters, just wasn't sitting well with me anymore. And you've got to remember, me and Lisa were super tight. So, and I was madly in love with the program. But what I've always done in life and in my career, Tone, is if it doesn't feel right anymore, I won't do it, because then the passion's not there anymore. So I started thinking, I'm not gelling with this movement. Then I started to not really gel with attack. Great program, just not for me at that time. Then I was just teaching combat. Then it was starting to happen with combat. I was starting to like more gym-based training. Functional training was coming in a bit more, Tone. So I thought, I want to do 2 or 3 big things with Les Mills. One was culture with Les Mills International and working with LMAP. And then I'm going to go to Filex 2017, I think it was. I'm going to do my presentation. I'm going to step away, which I liked because a lot of people didn't get to step away in our roles. A lot of people got pushed out or just couldn't quite hold the demand that was required of them. So I was really happy to be able to step away. And I just wanted to create my own fitness home with my own. When I say programming, it's a very loose term. It's not pre-choreographed Les Mills. It's totally different. It's barbell, it's kettlebell, it's assault bike. It's more modern, functional cross training, right? And but I wanted to keep some of the essence of what I was about, Tone. Is I'm a community man. I'm a culture man. I'm a standards man, and I was able to create my own hub and then my own brand that facilitated that. And here's the beautiful thing. Even though it's NJ, Nathan Jones Fitness, NJ Fitness, I actually got it to a point where the culture and the programming was so strong, I've been able to step away and move back to New Zealand to be with my family. And it's still running, fingers crossed, right now.
Yep.
Which is something I'm really proud of.
Yeah, you should be. You should be. To have the skill set to be able to implement something like that and then have the faith to step away and
Good
know that
word.
the team you've actually got in there are able to continue doing what you set out to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of faith to have in your staff or in the people that are actually part of, but at the same time, knowing the team you got together for Body Attack,
Yeah.
and knowing that, without even knowing your team and knowing where NJ Fitness is set up in Melbourne, I can guarantee anyone listening that it would be set up, and I know you're going to be set up in the same
I've
way.
never thought of those.
You have
that correlation. I like that. I like that, Tony.
You've got the trust and faith to turn around and go, hey guys, I'm heading back home for a bit. Yeah. Run it. Don't screw it up.
Yeah, that's it.
But at the same time, I'm here if you need
Yeah.
me. But, I just need to go and do this for a bit. And, yeah, mate, I think that's great.
Appreciate it.
That's great. When did you set up NJ Fitness? When did that
I'm
start?
a bit of a dates man, aren't I? August 21, 2017.
Okay. You've the exact date. I would have just gone to 2017 is good, but I love the fact you know exactly.
I even know my DVDs. Like I knew what Body Attack did. Like I did 58, 59. I know all the dates of my DVDs as well. I'm just one of those people that seems to retain numbers and dates for some reason.
Love it. I think that's cool. That's cool. There's a part of your brain that's organised.
Very much so.
Yep, this is what's going on. That's awesome. It was 2017. Has it evolved? How has it evolved? Has it evolved since you first opened your doors? Yeah. Is it different to what it is then to now?
Yeah, my progressive nature just got into the bones of the company, Tone. In simplest forms, can we do 6 burpees every minute for 5 rounds? Become 9. And then we're moving the barbell at 22 kilo. Can that get to 27? We can now do those 2 exercises plus that one. Can we make it 3 plus 1? So that way that I drove Body Attack to, can we get into more clubs? Can we present better? Can we have better trainers? I had the same mindset and same mentality in my gym. So we really progressed. We progressed so far that I didn't think we'd get to the physicality and the fitness that we're at now. To the point, Tone, that looking at speaking to other programmers, because I'm the programmer for it. I set all the programming, like Lisa sets for Body Attack, to get some deeper insight on how I might track the next 6 to 12 months, because it's so high. And I just don't want to go from, 9 burpees a minute to 12 and 12 to 15. It becomes unhealthy. So I'm just thinking of other methodology and trainings that can just help us to keep that forward momentum. Because Les Mills has releases, new music, new moves. When you run your own gym and you're not pre-choreographed, you've got to steer that in different ways.
Yep. Is it something you'll look one day to maybe franchise out? Is it a model that can be franchised? Yes.
It nearly broke me. Running that gym, being the owner, operator on the floor, it was so hard. It was hard. And I mean, you're a GM, Tone, you understand when you get into the trenches of having to really push something and you feel like areas are slipping. I mean, just even the finances, the back of house was hurting, and just that. So what I'm saying is, it probably scarred me so much that I was very much in a mindset of no. I'll have my baby, and then I'll look at other areas of the industry. Coming back home, knowing how far Australia is ahead and what arena or what area I was able to create such a good fitness model in, it's now become a maybe. Could I franchise back here in New Zealand now? Yes. Am I willing to step in, lean in? Maybe.
Who knows what the future holds? I like that. That's giving away a little, but not giving away a lot.
And do I want to go back to that much work, or am I enjoying having quite a bit of space in my day?
Yes. No, mate, I understand that completely. This is the Group X podcast. A couple more questions I want to throw towards you. This one you sort of touched on there a little bit, but what does the future hold for you?
I will work closely with my culture. So for our listeners and for you, Tone, I'm Māori, Maori, as I'm sure you know. But being Indigenous to New Zealand, there's areas in our culture that really need help, and to make it a bit more similar for the Australian market, the Aboriginals, and
Yes. Yep.
I want to. I always said when I left New Zealand, when I started in the fitness industry in '03, that I want to give back, and I've done that circle, and I'm back.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's where a lot of my legacy, or furthering my legacy, will sort of end up. I really enjoy people and culture. I like that space. I'll use our company, for example, to sit with Jackie and Philip Mills and talk about the culture and the people and the direction and the DNA of Les Mills when they move on and they hand it to their children. It excites me, and I'm just using Les Mills for an example. I'm not saying I want that role. People and culture and high performance. I enjoy high performance sport. So working at the top end of things maybe like New Zealand Māori, All Blacks. And when I say that, certainly not the coaching aspect. I'm not anywhere near that realm, but strength and conditioning or culture or high performance or attitude and mindset in some of those bigger arenas would be fun. So that's what I'm looking at. But right now, may I add, I'm very much enjoying having little sleep-ins, training when I want, space in my day, played a bit of social netball, went mountain bike riding with my brother. So
excellent.
I don't want to dive into that part too soon.
Yeah. No, mate, having some U time.
Man.
U time is important, mate. It's I learnt that over lockdown here in Wollongong over COVID. It was even 5 minutes of me time sitting out the back on the grass, patting with one of the dogs, or throwing the ball around and having a cup of coffee, staring at the birds in the trees, whatever, mate. It is
couldn't agree more.
Grounding, and you need to do it. It's
agree more, man.
Mental health is vitally important. So yeah. Hey, you going to teach any classes over at Les Mills while you're there? You reckon you might pull on the old body attack socks and say, "Hey, Lisa, I want to come for a bit of old time."
I'm going to say no. But there's a but.
Yep.
If Lisa said to me, "Nath, let's do a release where we bring back, some of the great presenters of the past," I'd say to her, "Give me 12 weeks." Because I'd have to get conditioned to that program again.
Get program fit. Yep.
I would do it for that feel, like for the because I love Body Attack and I love Les Mills.
Yeah.
I still love the company. I really do.
Yep.
But it's just not where the place that I'd like to spend my time. But for that, come back and let's push the program up again. Yeah, I'd do that for her.
Yeah. Cool. Righto. Lisa?
12 weeks notice, please. Conditioning's not the same.
That's all right. Look, I'm going to remember we're recording this on Monday the 13th of June. It's now 6:55 p.m. here in Sydney.
July, August, September, Q3, I think that makes it. We're on.
Yeah. Oh, mate. Too funny. Now, some interesting last questions.
Hit me.
Does the industry need to change anything?
Ooh.
And if so,
industry or Les Mills?
What? Not Les Mills, the industry. As in, I'm referring more to New South Wales, not New South Wales, Australia as a fitness industry and group exercise specifically. Yep.
Good question.
And I throw this out because the last couple of weeks I've been to Filex, so the fitness convention here in Sydney, and it was a business summit. Sitting down over 2 days, and I'm going to say there was maybe 800 odd people sitting there. Group X was spoken about twice. One was Ryan Hogan, CEO of Les Mills, that had a 45-minute chat, and the other was 15 seconds in another panel discussion. I look at that and I think, dead set joke. People still don't see the relevance of group exercise, and I'm quite vocal when I get on my soapbox around this one. Good. So if I go too far, you can even tell me to shut up with this one as well. But I asked the question because I believe there needs to be a bit of a change in the industry. Yeah, and I'm wondering if you, from your side of things, see see the same thing or see anything that might relate to that as well?
Firstly, I'd like to say that, like many industries, we need a bit of recovery time after COVID. There's when we think fitness industry, if we think Group X, boutique fitness, big clubs, fitness coaches, there's holes now. There's you know, big club memberships are down. I think I heard a stat of about 50% of personal trainers have exited. So, hey, in hindsight, this might help bring a new generation or a new phase of Group X and the fitness industry. But I think, to be fair, we need to stabilize a little bit first and see who and what has remained after the repair of post-COVID.
Yep.
Being the owner-operator of my own boutique studio, I haven't been out in the market as much as I was when I was with Les Mills, so I won't have as wide scope as I would have when I was with Les Mills. What can I say about the fitness industry? There's lots of us now. I mean, Les Mills was almost the sole provider for so many years, and now we've got boutique fitness, we've got a lot of high intensity, we've got a lot of the F45s and the BFTs, which all have a place.
Yep.
The fitness industry. When we think of group fitness, I think from the out, it's funny. I was on the inside of group fitness with Les Mills forever, and I only seen it from the inside out. What I can probably add value to from the outside in now is there's just a lot more fitness leaders providing a lot more ways to get fit, lean, and athletic now.
Yep.
So I think if we go back to what I come from, traditional group fitness versus shorter, more boutique fitness like I have, or an F45 or a BFT or a CrossFit, I would say Group X needs to come up a gear and really look at where it's at now versus where a lot of people are training. And I mean that from a couple of areas. I think some of the newer training models are a lot more efficient to getting to the result now, a lot more specific at getting to the result, and a lot more scientific and more modernized in their approach.
Totally agree.
I think there's... Yeah.
I'll give you a little bit more around why I sort of asked the question as well.
I hope I've sort of given you a bit there. I don't like speaking too much more about things that I don't really have something on, but I think that thing between Group X and where fitness is at now, because I've been on both sides, I think that's a fair point.
Yep. Chatting to Sharon Susie the other week, and also Karen Russell as well.
Guns.
These legends that have been in the industry for quite some time, you know, been around, even Wendy Elphinstone as well, that have been around and seen so much in our industry, but were virtually around pre-Les Mills. Yep. Alluding to the fact that Les Mills came in just at the right time because group exercise was starting to die.
Yep.
Clubs were starting to look at going, okay, you know what? We were getting 50, now we're getting 8. You know, what are we doing? Is it worth keeping that space open? I can fill it with equipment. I can do something else. Les Mills came along and bam, you know, all of a sudden re-energized what was going on. Mm-hmm. Not to say that the programs in any way are bad. I still drink the Kool-Aid in a big way and will always, you know, what helped me get fit and got me into the industry. And it was the massivest part of my life for so many years.
Yep. And
still is. I'm not teaching, but still there.
Yep, and mine.
I believe that the industry needs to shake up, as though we need to look at what's happening in the group exercise space, whether it's just in those rooms or whether, as you said, it's the boutiques, whatever it is. Businesses that are running group exercise need to take a look at it and see the pulling power that it actually has.
Yes.
They need to start investing money into it and stop seeing it as a cost center. I'll argue this point to the moon and back with anybody that wants to have a conversation with me about it. Yes, it costs money to run group exercise, but have a look at how many people you are servicing. Have a look at how much money that is generating your business on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. If you weren't running it, your money is going to stop. Yep. I say to people, stop focusing wholly and solely on trying to fill the bucket. Stop the bloody holes in the bucket and watch what's going to happen to your space. Group exercise, if it's run properly, I'll say to some people, people that I've chatted to about consulting, the money that you're actually putting into your sales consultants, take one of them just for 1 year. Take that wage away from sales consultant and throw it into your group exercise space. When I say throw it in, that doesn't mean give your group exercise instructors more money. That means take a good look at that business unit in your gym and what you can do differently. What can you do for your group exercise manager to allow them to stop doing the basics? Stop writing down numbers on a piece of paper in your room that person's then got to sit there at the end of the week or the end of 2 weeks and type that data and do data entry and waste 2.5 hours of their time. They're doing the pays. They've got to update a timetable. They've got to find a cover. That kind of crap we should be doing automatically. That kind of stuff shouldn't be being done by a person. It needs to be automated in some way. Yes, if you still need to do it, great, but they shouldn't be the group fitness manager's entire job. It should be maybe 10, 15% of what that group exercise manager does. Let's have a look at the other 80 to 85% of what they should be doing. And if you invest the money that you had in your sales consultant into that part of Group X management, I will guarantee you that Group X will lift up from what it's doing. You'll get more attendance, more often, more people. You'll lose less members. Those members that are coming, as we know, are engaged in a group. They prefer to train in a group. They're more likely to recommend their friends to come and do what they're doing. Group X in itself will just lift itself anyway. It just needs to be given the attention that it's not.
Well,
and
it's funny you say that too, Tone, because if you think of what I run, boutique, and the other areas in the fitness industry that are now thriving, CrossFit, F45, BFT, they're Group X. And
100%.
So
100% Group X.
When I hear it from, and so's mine. Like I have 6 personal trainers, and I have group fitness classes. And 92% of my income is through group fitness, through those classes. So yes, I agree.
I think the industry still sees group exercise as, well, it's in those 4 walls. There's a mirror over there. There's a bar over there. There's music, and they're all just running around doing whatever.
They do.
That's no longer group exercise.
No.
I'll say, you know what? That's what I class as group fitness. There's a difference between group exercise and group fitness. Exercise is the action. Fitness is the outcome.
Nice. Nice, Tone.
Big time. Group X is what we do in the space. Now, whether it's Barry's Boot Camp as an example, it's group exercise. It's a group of people exercising. They've lifted the game compared to what we had going on. Before, it was freestyle. Then we've got Les Mills. Then these other boutiques have come in. We need to focus on what's happening. And I'll say in that group fitness space, in that room, that's what we need to look at and sort of go, okay, what are we doing here? What can we do doing a little bit better? And that doesn't come back to the programs. That comes back to the club. The club needs to invest in their space and what's happening in that space. The programs are the same. The programs have evolved, as we know. They've evolved from the filming as a handy cam at the back of the room in Auckland compared to the production that it is now with cameras everywhere, and the sound quality is amazing and all that kind of stuff.
100%.
The programs have evolved over time. We've seen all of them lift their game from where they were to where they are, and they are still evolving.
100%.
But I think as clubs, we need to start looking in that space to go, how can we deliver this better, this experience of everything that's in that room better to our members?
Great.
As soon as we look at that, then it's going to go. And that's what I say is I think that's the industry that needs to look at it differently, and that's the change we need to start making. And I'm hoping that by me talking about Group X and getting the groupx.com.au website up and running and getting people to think about it more, that we get people starting to think about it and talk about it more often to improve what we're doing.
Well done. It's really nice to, at the end of this, to hear your passion and also your drive behind what you're doing. And I love that because like a good head program coach, Tone. You just need someone like yourself that's invested. Leadership. Hey, you're out here spending an hour and 3/4 with me and copious amounts of other senior presenters because you've got a purpose and a reason behind what you want to see grow because you believe in it. And
Yep.
I respect and admire where it's coming from, you mate. And I'm glad I could be a part of it with you.
Thank you.
It's really cool.
Hey, I've got one last question for you.
One more
before we run away and we wrap up. What bit of advice can you give to instructors that might be listening who want to improve or look to move into a trainer presenter role?
Very often than not, you have to be better than what you think you are. What I faced in Les Mills over and over again was enthusiastic, good instructors that wanted to be presenters and trainers. History has shown us through generations to generations that you have to be great. And what great means is nothing's changed around the 5 keys, but you've got to really, really deliver all key components of your product first, because that's the base of it. But then I think when we look at ones that people are listening to that they admire, or the leaders that we've had across the 30 odd years, they bring something different. And that difference, Tony, and to the people that are listening, is they have found a way to bring their authentic self through the program.
Yep.
But why I say it in that order is authenticity is not enough. You still have to be an incredible athlete and very specific to your product. You've still got to understand the coaching model and what the program director's trying to deliver. And I think to finish off that question is, and I'll use myself, even after presenting 13 DVDs, I would train for 12 weeks for a DVD. I would want to bring a new coaching language or coaching outcome. I always wanted to be better. And I think that's the Les Mills way, that strive for that greatness whilst bringing that product or those key areas of the product and that authenticity together.
Mate, thank you. Thank you as well for coming on the show and having a chat with me, mate, and spending your Monday night chatting to the Aussie over this side of the ditch. And, mate, yeah, hope to see you soon.
I look forward to seeing where this goes, and that I will leave by saying I'm inspired and I'm thinking a little bit more wider now about the fitness industry. You've sort of got me out of my own sort of much needed running my own business to start thinking wider again. I appreciate that, Tone, and I like the essence and the direction that you're taking this. Is it a podcast? I want to get the wording right.
Yep. This is the podcast, but I'm going to say the movement.
Yeah, the podcast is the movement.
Yeah,
it's got a really good feel to it, and I commend you for putting your hand up and taking things forward, because that's very often what's needed. One person.